Alright, here we go. Round 5. This is the Undercity Coliseum tournament. Up against Crazy Razor here. We're all set, we're good to go. Time to test it out, see how we do. So we're 3-1 in this tournament after 4 rounds. Our last opponent was a sort of mono-red variant that had some blue mana in there. Well, not blue mana, but they had the red and blue shock lands and tap lands. This one is also sort of a slight variant on mono-red. It's having treasure maps in the main board. It's got some Banefires in there, so it's a little different from the standard build, but it's got a lot of the same ideas. Also only 18 mountains, which is interesting. This hand, these actually do nothing early. They do survive, which is quite nice. This Chance for Glory isn't really what we want to see in our opening hand. The Tribunal is fine, but it's nothing spectacular. The Snubhorns are good because they will live. They will be a blocker that can survive for a while. But I do think we have to mull this. I'm not loving this hand as it is. This hand is not really better, but I really don't think we can afford to go to 5 against mono red. So we'll give this a shot, and I don't think we need another Tribunal. So, hopefully we don't just get rolled here. Another history isn't bad. That will create a lot of creatures for them to deal with, but they probably won't have too much. Probably won't have too much trouble dealing with it. So yeah, this deck is not running Risk Factor in it. It does have Steamkin as a bad card for us. It does have the Shocks, Lightning Strikes, Wizard's Lightning. It does have 4 Frenzies. Like I said, two Banefires. Also got 3 Rigging Runners, which is an interesting include. And Skirk Prospector. It's not really a Goblin theme or anything, but those are interesting choices. So we'll see how this plays out. And we're going to get hit in the face, and then he'll swing in for 2. So he's missed his 3rd land drop. Oh no, there it is. Okay. Swing to left, and there's Rigging Runner. Yep. And he's assembling a board quickly. So let's drop History of Benalia here. So unfortunately the Rigging Runner has first strike, so we can't even trade evenly with it, with our knight. Next turn, probably Tribunal the Steamkin, I think. It's just too dangerous a threat, probably to just leave on the board. Okay, we'll get Wizards. Yeah, I really dislike the mono-red matchup against this deck, and I don't think it stands a really good chance against it. So it's starting to look pretty bad, and I think that's more or less expected. So let's Tribunal away this Steamkin to get some of this pressure off. Next turn we can do History into a Danto and hopefully start getting some momentum going. Might use the mana here, he does. So he must have some kind of burn, I assume. Yep, a lightning to the face. So he could very well have lethal here. 2 Lightning Strikes kills us. I don't think we can go to 4, so we'll block this. 4 is just asking to get killed, I think. Okay. So we have 5 permanents, 6, 7, 8, 9. We can't quite get this to where we want it to be. But I think history plus Snubhorn is the right play here. Or, no, perhaps history plus Adanto. I think maybe better. And then next turn we can Snubhorn into heroic reinforcements. And we can start getting some kind of counterattack going. Our knights will have vigilance, so we can use both to block the rigging runner, hopefully for a good trade. Although, who can say, this game needs to end sooner rather than later, I think. So, that's a strike on my face. So he's got about 6 cards left in the deck that win the game immediately. He's got a lot more that are just bad news for us in general. I think we just block here with the Danto. That way Shock isn't a winning card for him, as that would be pretty bad for us too. Very tempted to play both Snubhorns here for an extra blocker. I think we have to end this game sooner rather than later. This will be 10 damage. Yeah, I think this is the play. Playing another Snubhorn is safer, but this is a lot of damage. We still do have 2 blockers back, and we're threatening potentially lethal next turn, if he doesn't have a way to kill us this turn. So I think we might have just been able to hang in there just enough. He's flooding out a little, only 18 lands in the deck. And he's seen 6 of them in 13 cards. Okay, these are pretty good. I think this is an attack we just swing in with. He's got to block both knights or else he's just dead on board. So we're just going to go. Now we hope he doesn't top deck a game-winning spell. So he has 6 cards that win the game immediately. Banefire is reasonable, so that's actually 8. And he drew a land. That's unfortunate. Alright, so Snubhorn and Heroic Reinforcements gets us there to game 1. Also, History of Benalia definitely helping out there. Alright, so let's modify the deck some. Since we have... Here it is. Since we have a few good sideboard cards here. I think Baffling End is pretty good. Tocatli is pretty good. Frenzy is arguably good, and Aurelia is good. So let's grab the Tocatli. And we'll slam them in here. And we'll grab Aurelia. And then for, how do you change the layout? There it is. And then for, let's see if he's messaging me. No. For removing cards, I think probably the Loxodons can get removed here. And one more to remove. I think probably a Chance for Glory. I think something like this might be what we want. Sky Marcher isn't the best card because of Chain Whirler. Which is actually not being run. There's no Chain Whirler in this deck, so I think all this is fine, really. We'll try this and see how it works. Alright. So let's get back in for game 2. We're fortunate to get that for game 1. Yeah, Heroic Reinforcements definitely did work there. The Snubhorns were on point with the timing. It's very nice. The 3 toughness really helped. Everything sort of just came together just enough for us. He obviously flooded out. He drew a third of the lands in his deck in just 13 cards. I mean, that's a pretty ridiculous variance that benefited us and really hurt their deck. The stuff I expect to see sideboard and in, I think Rekindling Phoenix is reasonable. Cannonade is reasonable. There's a Legion Warboss, which is pretty good. Lava Coil is reasonable. There's a lot of options there that he could do. I'm going to just send a message real quick. So yeah, as I said, I really don't like this deck's odds against mono red. I think we're unfavored for sure. Just mono red has the extra benefit of the burn. We're fortunate our opponent doesn't have Goblin Chain Whirler here, which just blows out our aspirants. It really damages our Hunted Witness value. It can do a lot of work as well. Yeah, it's responding back. So this variant is interesting with the treasure maps as well. Only 18 lands, so it's very land light. It's counting on just getting enough to get through. The Steamkins and the Skirk Prospectors can definitely help with that. It can help you get that extra mana you might need. And you don't want to be hitting land after land when you're frenzying either, because that just feels bad. It completely destroys the value of the enchantment whenever something like that happens. The Banefire as a finisher is particularly nice against control decks, but it can work against us too. It was extra outs for him there. He certainly had enough mana to kill us with Banefire. So he had a good 8 outs to that last position there. Fiery Cannonade can kill most of our stuff. It kills our Knights, it kills our Witnesses, it kills our Vanguards. Pretty much a good chunk of the deck it does kill for sure. I'm always unsure what to sideboard really. I'm never 100%. Like I know for most decks. Like I didn't know should Baffling End go in, should something else come out, things like that. It's hard to tell. And he's actually going to be on the play, so this is a redo. Challenge. And I'm unsure about the Loxodons as well. With no Chain Whirler in the deck, it's a lot more reasonable to take the Loxodons out, I think. Okay, he's on the play, so this is a good game. I think on the play, if I was sideboarding and my opponent did have Loxodons, I'd want to keep them in on the play so that I could potentially do it's going to mull to 6. This hand is fine for us. We've got good Snubhorns, we got Tocatli, we have a Legion's Landing we might be able to flip, which would be a huge deal. Tribunal for getting rid of something scary. I think this is a good hand to keep. Mulls to 5. Oh, that's rough. That's a rough start. But he likes what he sees on top, so gets a Firebrand to start. I think we'll open with the Snubhorn instead of the Legion's Landing. We're not going to be able to flip it on turn 2 anyway. So I think this is fine. And this will prevent further damage from Fanatical Firebrand for a while, unless they get striked or something. I think if you're on the play against a mono red deck, then keeping the Loxodons in is perfectly reasonable. So that you can on your turn 3 before they drop Chain Whirler, you can potentially play a lot of 1-drop creatures and then tap them out for Loxodon to buff them up. Get their toughness high enough so it won't be blown out by Chain Whirler. Now I'm debating whether I want to take 2 here. Almost certainly not, right? I don't think this is the place to start taking damage. So I think we just put another big body on the field. And we'll play our tap land. But now we have our red source for Heroic Reinforcements. Next turn, we can do something like Cotley Legion's Landing. Not sure. And try and flip this Legion's Landing. He is coming in, so he probably has a shock. I'm comfortable with him burning a card here. I think that's okay. Okay. So let's tow Cotley. Part of me does want to play this shock land to get the Legion's Landing down this turn so we can potentially flip it. We're in a decent spot. I think I will try that. It's a bit risky. If he hadn't mulled down and we've seen him stuck on 2 lands, I don't think I would try that. But he seems to be really wanting to get some action going, trying to remove the stuff we have. So if we can just sort of keep applying pressure by constantly spawning these tokens, I think we'll be in much better shape. If we draw a land, we can reinforcements next turn as well. That'll give us 10 permanents. If nothing dies, that'll give us 10 permanents for Ascend. The Cotley is a good blocker if he does throw down more creatures or we're not able to attack with everything. We have Conclave Tribunal we can use as well. Excuse me. Okay, we'll burn our vampire. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Swinging again. Let's take this, rather than potentially get something else killed. And a land is exactly what I wanted to see. We won't get Ascend, unfortunately, but I think flipping this landing is perfectly worth it. Okay, so he probably has another shock available for, yep. That was the purpose behind the attack earlier, to get rid of Cotley or kill off the Snubhorn. But now we're in good shape. We have infinite tokens. We have Tribunal if something scary comes down on the field. I like our position. We can get another one of our stronger cards, then we'll be in very good shape. We're still short, unfortunately. We're short 1. We could spawn a token now to give Snubhorn Ascend, and I think that's what I'll do. He could reasonably Firebrand in response to kill off the 1/1 to prevent the Ascend. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Okay. I think that's pretty reasonable, really. And we'll just swing in with Cotley for damage. Alright. There's his 3rd land at last. Wonder what he's holding that he can't play. There's not much. Maybe Phoenix. Maybe he's holding Cannonade because it's just not effective, really. Ah, there's a Legion War Boss. That's certainly good for him. We'll definitely conclave that away. No question. We can block with Snubhorn here. Ooh, perhaps that was worse than the token. Token might have been better there. We can... Do we spawn a token and then use it to convoke? I think so. Let's spawn first. This isn't normally what you want to be doing with this, spawning your tokens before convoking. But or spawning your tokens when it's not your turn, really. Let's tap this, and we'll tap the Tocatli, because I want to get that 1 life. We'll grab the War Boss, swing in for 4, gain a life. There's a Phoenix. Unfortunately, we've got another Tribunal at the ready. So another land is actually exactly what we need. And we'll swing in with everyone. Yep, try and minimize the damage. And somehow things are looking very good for us. We got lucky. They've had to mull down to 5. Cards haven't been the best. He was stuck on just this Fanatical Firebrand for a few turns. Wizard's Lightning, sure. That does give another turn. So we don't have lethal yet. Heroic Reinforcements will end the game. Legion's Landing won't. But we can... Here's a little trick you can do with Legion's Landing. We'll play it first. Boosh. And then we can spawn a token. Boosh. We'll swing in with our 3, which flips this Legion's Landing, which we will keep and sacrifice the other. It is legendary. And now at the end of his turn, we can spawn another token. You can only really do that if you have a ton of mana out, but it is a little trick you can do. That will sometimes get you there. And now Cannonade would be very strong. He'll strike himself, sure thing. Okay, good sport. That was good. Yeah, unfortunate for our opponent in that game too. That was really too bad. We were kind of lucky, I feel like. We were a little lucky game 1. We were able to hold on long enough just to turn the tide. Game 2, our opponent obviously had to mull down to 5. We were stuck on 2 lanes for a while. It was not a great start for them. We had enough to just hang in there. Eventually we turned things around. We started getting on all the offensive, and at that point it was just too much to overcome. So an unexpected but certainly welcome win after last week's loss. I feel like their deck honestly has the advantage on us. I think they'll win the majority of games. If we played 100 games, they'd probably win the majority. But somehow we were just able to get there. Got a little lucky, and you know, that's the nature of card games sometimes. So fair play, good show. That was enjoyable, and we're 4-1. Let's see what happens next week. See you guys then.